Hey everyone. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. As you guys start coming in, today's going to be a fun class. So thanks for joining us to talk about autoimmune diseases today. So as people start coming in, maybe put in the chat where you're tuning in from and what autoimmune disease you may have, if you're willing to share with us. So today we're going to be talking about how we can revitalize and reclaim your health once and for all. Kind of no matter what you may have been told when you were diagnosed with autoimmune diseases. And also if you stay till the very end, we're going to be having a live Q&A. So anytime during the session, put your questions in the chat box and we'll be able to have those questions stored up so we can answer those at the end as well. All right, so we are going to get started. So again, today I'm going to share with you some simple shifts to help take you from a state of chronic fatigue, inflammation, digestive issues, and physical pain, and towards a life of more energy and symptom relief. So type in the chat, yes, if you are ready and you're willing to learn more. And if you don't already know who I am, my name is Amber Satterfield. I'm an applied functional medicine practitioner, a nutrition consultant, an author, and a fellow autoimmune warrior just like you guys. So I honor you today for showing up for yourself to learn more about autoimmune diseases and how you can help kind of support your body with these. You've already done the hard thing, making the decision to be here today. So we are all on our own health journey, and I'm a firm believer that when we are truly ready to start kind of making changes, the resources do show up for us. So today, my hope is that you will gain some resources that will be a springboard for your wellness journey. I'm excited about all the information that we're going to cover today, so we're going to just jump right in. So what we're going to cover today is I'm going to talk about my story with 4 autoimmune diseases, what autoimmune diseases actually are, what the heck should I eat? This was a topic that was requested by many of you, and my favorite 3-tack model when tackling an autoimmune disease, what steps you can take after this webinar ends, and a live Q&A at the end. So are you ready to finally learn ways to begin finding relief? Again, type in the chat and let us know. Yes, I am ready to find relief and learning ways to do that. So my story with autoimmune diseases, it starts a long time ago. So here's kind of the timeline of when my health issues started going awry. I had always had health issues from a very young age. It started with hormonal imbalances when I started my period at 9 years old, which is very young. These are signs of imbalances in the body that can be balanced back out when we know what to do. But a lot of people don't, and my family sure didn't. And so my health just kind of kept, I always like to say the snowball going downhill. It just kind of kept gathering more and more. So by the time I was 14, I started having horrible gut issues. I had debilitating stomach problems. My periods would leave me completely bedridden, and I would go days, if not weeks, without going to the bathroom. I began seeing so many doctors trying to figure out what was going on. And the only solution that I was given was to take medications and come back in a few months. None of this helped. And as the years went on, my gut health started to impact my mental health. Not to mention, when you experience constipation like I was, it can be super dangerous. Your body is unable to detox toxins and excess hormones and can lead to inflammation directly in the intestines. So when it came to mental health, though, there is a bidirectional communication between our gut and our brain. So in addition, neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine are produced in the gut. So when the gut is off, so is your mental health, just biologically. I began to experience a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression when I was probably about 16. My parents didn't know how to help me, and so they started sending me to therapist after therapist. who were insistent on putting me on medications. The medications would help for about a week or two, and then the depression and anxiety would just come on even stronger. So by the time I was kind of in my early 20s, my health had progressed even more, and I was in and out of the emergency room at least once a month. I was passing a lot of kidney stones. I ended up passing about 18 in a year. It was crazy. I had debilitating like IBS type symptoms. And due to just all the inflammation in my body, I had gained 90 pounds in 8 months. All the doctors just kind of said, "You're fine. Your labs look fine. Here's the medication," and just kind of sent me on my way. So my health at that point just started spiraling, and nobody seemed to be able to help me. They would try all these different medications, and yet nothing helped. And at that point, I was young and I felt lost. I felt scared. I didn't know where to turn. I ended up so sick that I had to take time off from school. I was studying engineering at the time in college, and, all I wanted was just to be normal, a normal college student, go to school, hang out with friends and feel well. Right. And so I started to feel like at that time, no matter what I did, my body hated me. Like my body was my number one enemy. So when I was 22, that's when the surgery started. My gut had gotten so inflamed and infected by that point, it had caused my appendix to burst. So I had to have an emergency appendectomy to have it removed. At that time, the doctors didn't really pay attention because the surgery was laparoscopic, and they weren't really concerned where the infection came from. To them, it was just a normal procedure. And not long after that, I ended up starting the ER visits all over again, having really, really bad stomach pains. Again, they would take all the labs, they look fine, and they'd send me on my way. So less than 6 months later, my small intestines had completely closed up, and I was rushed to the ER again. And at this time, they started doing more testing because I had to be carried in. I couldn't even walk at that point. And so they ended up finding out that my intestines had completely closed up near my appendix, so my ileum. And I was rushed to the emergency room for surgery. And so they did a biopsy, and I was finally diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was thankful to finally have a diagnosis at that point because I knew I wasn't crazy, and I had been gaslit for, at that point, almost 10 years. But even having these answers, it really didn't change the mindset of the multiple doctors that I kept going to try to get help. And it's important to know that, even when they remove the damaged organs, just like in my case, it doesn't stop what's at the root. The roots, the infections, things like that, they just move on to other things. So at that point, I started seeing a homeopathic doctor right after my surgery because it was recommended by a family friend. This helped a little. It did slow down the process. But by the time I was 27, I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker over the years. And so I was finally diagnosed with 3 more autoimmune diseases. So Hashimoto's, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatoid arthritis, along with type 2 diabetes. I had over 55 food sensitivities at that time, allergies to literally everything, where I developed asthma, and then it finally turned into cancer. So, I was only 27, and this was absolutely terrifying. I literally just thought I was dying. Luckily, this was when I found a functional medicine practitioner. I was completely at my wit's end and desperate literally to try anything that wasn't conventional medicine at the time. So over the course of that next year, I kind of just dove straight in. I ended up spending a lot of money. It was like $18,000 on my health that year, seeing the functional medicine practitioner, but I was also able to find my root causes and find the infections that were in my body, making dietary changes, finding modalities to help me with stress and with trauma, and spending way too much on labs in hindsight. But over the course of the time of working with her, I started to realize that I was feeling better for the first time ever. My weight began to kind of stabilize. My gut issues stopped. My autoantibodies went away. My brain fog was gone. My periods normalized. And I started to get more energy, and I was able to basically wean off and get off all of my medications. So by the end of the year, my body was basically a totally different person. Our body is resilient and always renewing and regenerating. And so as you begin to heal, the body then will begin to heal in a more healthy version of those cells. So here's kind of an example too of, here was me at 22, where you should be on fire and resilient. I was literally sick and miserable all the time. And now, this was me 2 years ago, and I'm still thriving, energetic, symptom-free. Again, my weight stabilized, and I'm healthier than ever. So I'm a firm believer that functional medicine saved my life. And this is why I went back to school to study nutrition and functional medicine. The change that I saw in my own body was beyond what I ever believed, because I was very much set into the conventional medicine. And if it wasn't science, it wasn't true. But the more I've done research and the more I've gotten into this myself, there's a lot of science backing functional medicine and epigenetics and lifestyle factors. So yeah, now I'm blessed to have the opportunity to help people do the same and to help people like someone once helped me. And the changes that I see in others every day, it's inspiring, and it shines light on how amazing our bodies truly are when we remove the things that are causing, disease in the body. I honestly don't know where I would be without finding the functional medicine practitioner who helped me. These diseases, are chronic and they are progressive. And if the root causes are not found and dealt with, it does continue to cause damage. So again, my healing journey was over 9 years ago, and I'm still thriving. My hope is that my story kind of gives you hope as well, and lets you know that one, you're not alone, and two, that there is a way out. These diseases, they can be scary. And so I don't know, I know from my own body and my journey, and the journey that I take my clients on every single day, I know two things. One, it's not too late to heal your body, no matter what's been going on inside. And there's always hope if you're willing to decide that it's your time to heal as well. So type a yes in the chat if you're still with me, and if you hope that one day maybe you can find, some relief from your autoimmune disease as well. So taking your health into your own hands, I believe, is the single most powerful and strategic way to make an impact on your life and to experience life with health, energy, and freedom. We have the power to make the decisions and to not let others decide the fate of our health. I believe, learning to listen to my intuition and my own gut, don't mind the pun, but learning to listen to my own gut has really been powerful. When a doctor would say, here, take this medication, my gut instinct was no, I don't want to. This isn't for me. Now, I know everyone's different, but for me, I was done, and I'm glad I listened to my gut there. Never let anyone take your power from you, right? So this right here is a perfect example of kind of, my health journey with someone else. So here's a client of mine. She was living in Australia, Simone. She struggled with gut issues for over 20 years. And after we worked together and found her root causes and eradicated them, she is now off all of her medication. She was even able to get off the probiotics. And, she got her life back and started saving money too. So it all started with her deciding that she was going to show up and she was going to heal. The mind has a powerful way of showing up in the body. So let's get on to the next topic. So what is an autoimmune disease? So right now there are over 100 classified autoimmune diseases recognized by medical establishments. And it's dependent on what body part is affected. So these could be classified as, an IBD like Crohn's and colitis, Hashimoto's or Graves for the thyroid, lupus, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, and just there's so many more. And according to the Autoimmune Association, 80% of those suffering are women. So there are so many factors that are at play in this, but it's really important to note that we as women, and of course men as well, need to learn to advocate for our own health and not leave it in the hands of others, not let people gaslight us, and to show up and to actually be heard when there's something that just does not feel right in your body. I believe that we are just so worthy of living a happy and a healthy life. And this is why I talk so much about mindset, even in my Autoimmune Warrior course and with my clients, because this is such an important topic when it comes to autoimmune diseases and any chronic illness for that matter. You know, any disease that just feels like it's just ongoing. But autoimmune disease at its core is indeed a disease of the immune system. So an autoimmune disease is classified as a misdirection of the immune system, where the immune system is misguided in its attacks and mistakenly attacks different parts of our body, whether it be joints, thyroid, our intestines, our myelin sheaths, lots of different areas in which autoimmune diseases can occur. The body's immune system, which is designed to tolerate first and foremost, but when it gets triggered to protect us, let's say there's pathogens, infections, toxins, and a host of other things, it can mistakenly target its own tissues or something within them. And note that I do say mistakenly, because it's important to understand that the immune system is broken here. There is a reason there's a reason why the immune system is attacking and going after certain things in the body, whether it be, like I said, toxins or even molecular mimicry. The immune system is highly intelligent and knows exactly what it's doing. So if you imagine your immune system and your body as a cornered, wounded animal, in its wounded state, it feels both weakened and vulnerable, yet its cornered position triggers a heightened sense of vigilance and aggression. So this defensive stance is the immune system's strategy for survival, making it fiercely protective and ready to fight to stay alive, right? So your beautiful body is just trying its best to survive in this environment. So type yes in the chat if this is making sense to you. So when we talk about autoimmune diseases and their development, there are 4 pillars that are kind of at the root of autoimmune diseases. This philosophy stems from the work of Dr. Alessio Fasano. He founded the Center of Celiac Research and Treatment. He's also a professor at Harvard and a top gastroenterologist. So we're going to talk kind of quickly about each one of these pillars and why they're so important. So first we have genetics. Genetics play only about 5 to 10% of the role in development. Okay, so these can predispose us to certain disease dynamics and can also create like different levels of tolerance in unique individuals. So some people may have a genetic predisposition to having them way worse than others. These are things that obviously we cannot change. We cannot change our genetics. However, we can turn on and off these genes through epigenetics. So epigenetics, it kind of points to how the things that we do, like factors and certain triggers, certain foods, certain stress signals in the body, these influence the extent of how activated the genes are. So there's always a solution in how to best, support your body. So I know for me, I have multiple genetic predispositions, obviously, and I also have multiple genetic variants, like the MTHFR gene I have, if you guys have heard of that. But with the right tools, I'm able to live a life that is not just feeling fine, but feeling amazing in my body and having the energy to do all the things and truly live my life again. So, it's just learning how to work with your body and not against your body. So here's like a great example. So this is a great example of how genes actually show up in the body. So these twins here, they have a family history of heart disease. So the twin on the right has chosen a lifestyle kind of focused on heavy tanning beds, daily alcohol use, smoking 1.5 packs of cigarettes a day for 16 years, and she's been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease. Honestly, I mean, that's no surprise, right? So the twin on the left, she did not make those same decisions, and she's fully disease-free. So this is vital to understand that your choices do matter. So let's talk about the weakened immune system. So weakened immune system is one of the legs of this pillar here. This can be caused by things like infections, reactivation of latent viruses in the body. Like, for instance, if you've had mono, COVID, even though that's not a reactivation, because that's one that goes away, but that's also a trigger for weakening, obviously, the immune system. Stress, whether it's emotional or physical, oxidative stress, which is damage to the body when oxidant levels aren't balanced. Toxins such as heavy metals, pollutants, chemicals, junk food, medications, and there's many other things. But these are things that the body deems as foreign, right? So the body is always then having to use the immune system to try to protect itself. And it can also be nutrition mediated. So if we are not eating, a diet that includes all the minerals and the vitamins and the nutrients that our body needs, we're not able to not only heal, but we're not even able to function properly. So the next one is enhanced intestinal permeability. So this one's a big one. This one is a big one, especially. Well, no, it's a big one for all autoimmune. Even if you don't have gut issues, this is playing a role. So enhanced intestinal permeability, it's also known as leaky gut, if you've heard that. So our intestinal lining is meant to be a strong barrier that is only semi-permeable. So this means that it's only allowing nutrients and hydration and healthy things that our body needs into the bloodstream. However, when it's damaged and leaking, this allows for direct exposure of toxins from the gut. This could be bacteria. This could be, anything that we may have like swallowed, E. coli, H. pylori. If you've got candida overgrowth, all of these things can then enter into the bloodstream. And so our immune system then starts going, oh, these are foreign. I have to attack and protect the body. So with that example too, 70% of our immune system resides in and around the gut, 70%. So this exposure can lead to an overload on the immune system, thus increasing inflammation all on its own, which then can, exacerbate the leaky gut, and it can be a fun, vicious cycle here. So there's many ways to test for enhanced intestinal permeability. One way that we do it in our clinic is a GI map. So a GI map is a wonderful tool if you guys are ever interested to help determine if you have ongoing simmering infections in the gut, bacterial overgrowths, autoimmune markers, and leaky gut. With the right answers and seeing kind of what's going on in the gut, it helps us to target with care and with ease to help people get better faster without having to do all the trial and error and, oh my gosh, is this working for me or is this working for me? I don't know if you guys have been on that dabbling train. I know I have. So lastly, there's triggers. So for the 4 pillars of autoimmune diseases, triggers are usually very bio-individual, and they're usually kind of one of, those hit or misses for most. Not everyone is exposed to the same environmental triggers. These can be dependent on lifestyle choices, environment. They can be, things like getting a stomach bug or the flu or COVID or, E. coli from chicken that you've eaten, or what was it back in the day? Was it lettuce? What was on the news? Was it lettuce or kale? I don't know, one of those healthy foods that ended up having a huge E. coli a scare. So, those are things that are like triggers. And they can also be infections in the body. And with these, they have epigenetic effects that can create or worsen the genetic components of reactivating or activating an autoimmune. So usually people who kind of are sitting on that teetering line, and then all of a sudden have a flare due to a trigger. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So if you ever find yourself you'll go into a remission for a little bit, and then, you'll get a trigger of something and you start going into a flare. This is what I'm talking about. So when we make sure that the three things that we can control, the weakened immune system, enhanced intestinal permeability, and the triggers, if we make sure that we can manage those and build up a health foundation, those triggers won't be an issue and won't cause flares, because your immune system will be strong enough to handle it, and you won't be having leaky gut and having that immune exposure and hypervigilant immune system and overt inflammation in the body. And this is just a very condensed answer to kind of educate and give light. It would take me hours to kind of discuss these more in detail, but I wanted to highlight these here because they are the foundation of autoimmune diseases. So autoimmune diseases usually develop when the perfect storm of all four of these align. So like I mentioned earlier, when you start noticing that you're going into a flare, this is usually when it happens, is all of these kind of line up perfectly. I kind of think of like being at the casino and you just hit the jackpot. Horrible analogy now that I've said it. But so this is why you can be feeling fine or okay, right, for years. And then all of a sudden it hits. Like all of a sudden, I hear very often, and I felt it in my own body, that, well, crap, this came out of nowhere. Like it didn't come out of nowhere. It takes an average of 5 years to finally get an autoimmune diagnosis. But they've been simmering in the body for a long time before we actually, reach the point of having all the antibodies and having all of these aligned up. So type a yes in the chat if this is making sense so far to you. Want to make sure you guys are on board and understanding everything. Great, great, great. Okay, so this is another amazing client of mine who came to me after years of being told she was fine from doctors. But everything in her body just felt completely off. We had worked together for about 6 months, and by the end of it, she had her health back. She was insane. She was running marathons. She was able to pass this huge exam that she had failed like 5 times prior because her brain fog and fatigue were crazy back then. So she was able to get rid of all of that fatigue, get rid of that brain fog, and she finally passed her exam. Which then led her to getting a huge promotion. And now she's traveling all over the country, speaking on stage. So it's amazing how her life has changed. And still over a year later, she still emails me to let me know what she's up to and how amazing she's doing. So this is the power of finding the root causes. This is it right here. Because once we get rid of those root causes and balance everything else back out, then you just get your life back. Our body is at a natural state of healing and health. So this is the topic that so many people had asked for me to talk about. What the heck should I eat? And I love to talk about food. I adore this topic because I feel like in so many ways it is misunderstood and can be controversial to some. I have clients come to me time and time again who say that they eat healthy and clean, but as we dig deeper into their day-to-day choices, it's probably not as healthy as it should be. There's a lot of commercial marketing that is there. And, sometimes they need a little extra support. Or I have clients that totally resist the science-backed knowledge that food directly impacts our autoimmune diseases. I have heard time and time again or seen in Facebook groups of people saying food does not affect my autoimmune disease. And that is the farthest from the truth. And so I want to smash that myth like right here and now because food matters. We are what we eat. Food can literally be medicine for our body, or it can be our poison. We are what we eat, break down, absorb, and convert into usable forms. Like literally, we need those vitamins, those minerals, those nutrients in order to build the cells that our body is made of. So it's the vitamins and the minerals that we eat or don't eat, right, that make up our body and fuel us each day. It supports us with all of our biochemical reactions in the body that are happening in the background that we don't think about when it comes to, moving blood through our body, helping our liver detox, helping us to have biochemical reactions to where our intestines are triggered for peristalsis. I mean, all of these things require biochemical reactions that are fed by the nutrients that we eat. So it's not only important for living, with optimal health, but it is vital for healing. And, anytime that we've undergone to the point of having an autoimmune disease, our body is probably in need of some healing. It's had a lot of damage. The immune system it's strong and it's powerful, and it's probably done some damage along the way. And our body requires healing. And so it requires the nutrients it needs to heal. So food also has a huge impact on all 4 of the pillars that are needed, even genetics. So there are foods that can actually turn on and off genes. So something to keep in mind. I talk more about this in my course because we deep dive into the science of why this is. But for today, just to keep a note that it is important for all of those factors. So during my healing journey, diet was the hardest part for me. And it still can be to this day when I'm super busy, under a lot of stress, I didn't plan right, things like that. Our modern society normalizes and makes eating crap food easier and cheaper and more convenient. So not only that, they spend trillions of dollars to literally engineer the right concoctions to make our brains crave them. So the wonderful thing, though, is that our bodies are resilient. And once we stop the poisoning and eradicate and heal the damage, it doesn't take long for our body to balance back out and to not crave these foods. I mean, our salivary glands literally stop craving sugar within a couple weeks. And so you go back to eating sugar, and it's kind of like it's a drug, which we'll talk about. But America is by far the worst when it comes to what is allowed in our food. The chemicals, emulsifiers, preservatives, they're all deemed to be safe by the FDA, but they're actually poison and they're toxic to our bodies. They raise our blood sugar, they add to the toxic load on our livers, they disrupt our gut microbiome and directly cause inflammation and leaky gut. So if you're anything like I was, though, because you're getting no judgment on my end, whatever your diet is, these kind of foods were literally 90% of my diet. I would wake up and have a venti Starbucks every morning, followed by fast food, easily at home meals like spaghetti, microwavable meals, chips, all the things like that was literally my diet. All these foods though, they're not adding they're not giving you any nutrients. And not only are they not giving you nutrients, but they are depleting the nutrients because it causes direct inflammation and causes a physical stress on the body, which then requires our body to, you guessed it, use nutrients that our body would need for other things to help repair and heal. So as a society, though, we have moved very far away from what food actually is. So for me, not only was I not getting, again, those nutrients, I was stripping out what I did have. I wasn't giving my body the chance to even thrive and to be healthy or to heal. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't know any better. I was not taught how to eat healthy in my household. These are things obviously that they don't teach in schools. So unless you grow up in a household with like a nutritionist as a parent or someone who already eats very healthy, we're not really exposed to this. So quality food that isn't highly processed is though necessary for giving our bodies the nutrients our body needs. And to that point, diet is also very bio-individual. What works for one person may not help someone else. I have seen time and time again in my practice where people are given advice from, let's say, like a TikTok or an Instagram video, and it can send them straight into flares. So it's really about kind of learning what works best for your body and sticking with your gut instinct here, and not just following what may work for someone else. So there's many reasons for why diet can be bio-individual. And I've heard time and time again of some people saying, I can't eat like these certain foods or these healthy foods. I can't eat healthy foods. I get that one a lot. And this can be for many reasons. But one reason is food sensitivities. So I'm not sure, type a yes in the chat, actually, if you guys think you have a food sensitivity. I had a ton of them. So yeah. Okay. So food sensitivities develop in the body, because of complex mechanisms that involve the immune system's response to certain foods. So unlike food allergies, which trigger an immediate and potentially life-threatening immune response like anaphylactic, food sensitivities also result in a delayed low-grade inflammatory reaction. These are so much harder to pinpoint. This is why you may be experiencing, though, being fine with a food one day and then the next day, you're having a reaction, whether it's, going to the bathroom or headaches or all the things. This is why, is food sensitivities. So one key factor in the development of food sensitivities, and it's not all, but it's most, is leaky gut. We've talked a lot about leaky gut so far. So in a healthy gut, remember, the intestinal lining acts as a selective barrier. So it controls what enters the bloodstream. However, factors like chronic stress, some medication use, alcohol consumption, certain foods, there's a host of things that can cause leaky gut. But when you start developing leaky gut, the damage to this intestinal barrier starts to allow the junctions of the gut lining to be larger and inflamed. And this allows partially digested food particles, so foods that have not been broken down yet. It allows toxins and bacteria and other things to leak into the bloodstream. Okay, so where they're not supposed to be. This breach prompts an immune response. So on the other side of our intestines, there is literally soldiers of immune cells waiting and protecting. So when they come through, this leads to inflammation. They produce antibodies against the food particles. So they literally code the DNA of the food and say, stranger danger. This is not where it's supposed to be. We now are, anytime we see this from now on, we're going to attack it, where this is an enemy. So this then can manifest in various symptoms like headaches, digestive issues, fatigue, skin problems. A lot of people who have, if you have the bumps on the back of your arm, this isn't all cases, but for most, that's usually gluten, by the way. And over time, this ongoing low-level inflammation and immune response can lead to heightened sensitivity to these foods, which can directly exacerbate not only autoimmune symptoms, but chronic fatigue and, inflammation and weight gain or weight loss if you're not getting the nutrients you need and you've got gut inflammation. This is huge here in making sure that the gut is healed. So how do I know if I have a food sensitivity? I get that one a lot. So there's multiple ways that you can kind of determine if you do. You can test for leaky gut, like I said, with a GI map. You can take a food sensitivity test. You can go on a full elimination diet to see if symptoms remain or if you start getting a relief there. Or you can keep a food journal. This one's my favorite, honestly. I usually have most of my autoimmune and gut clients, I have probably all of them doing some kind of a food journaling, and to keep track of the symptoms. And because some of the symptoms can take up to even 72 hours to display, you can even go into switching up your foods no less than maybe every 4 days, so just as an example, eating salmon for, a couple days and then switching over to chicken for a couple days. And, same with I'm going to eat tomatoes for a couple days and then I'm going to go off tomatoes for a couple days. And you can start to kind of keep track of what foods are causing you those symptoms. So type yes if this is making sense to you. And so it's important to figure out what foods may be causing an inflammatory reaction in the body, because at the end of the day, like I said, an immune disease or an autoimmune disease is a disease of the immune system. So it's not a disease of the actual part, the body part. So it's not a disease of the thyroid. It's not a disease of the intestinal tract. It's not a disease of the myelin sheaths. It's not these are literally being caused by the immune system, all of them. And so what we need to more focus on is, why is the immune system hypervigilant, and keep that at bay. So outside of food sensitivities, there are many foods and food-like products that can cause inflammation and leaky gut. It also can depend on whether you have a healthy balance of bacteria and enzymes to help you digest certain foods, which we go a lot more in depth in my course. But there are certain foods that you may not have the enzymes or the bacteria in order to help break down those foods, which could also cause some symptoms, and that's usually gut related symptoms, usually constipation or IBS type symptoms, or like diarrhea. So here is where most people don't like what I have to say. So I'm throwing that out there first because the truth sucks. And I have had client after client hate me when I start discussing dietary changes. And that's okay, because I'm willing to be the bad guy if it means that you get to experience what health feels like in your body. I've been through everything, all the advice that I give people, I've been through it. So I know exactly what you're going through. But also every client of mine thanks me in the end and never regrets their dietary changes when they do actually get to a point when they're ready. So we're going to talk about a few things that are culprits to leaky gut and inflammation. And I will say they are the biggest, usually in most people's diet, which is why it can be so much of an issue. So first off is gluten. I'm sure you know what gluten is. It is the protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. Harvard did a study where they examined a range of people from those who had celiac disease all the way to those seemingly with that stomach of steel that can literally eat anything. I'm sure you guys know people like that. In the study, they found, though, that 100% of people who ingested gluten had intestinal damage. 100%. That's crazy, right? So this is always the first that I recommend to be removed for anybody who has an autoimmune disease. I personally have been gluten-free since 2008. So trust me, I know firsthand that sometimes it can be very hard, because especially back in those days, there wasn't as many options. That was a long time ago. What is that? 16 years now at this point. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm still gluten-free, like I said, to this day, and I don't even think about it. So type yes in the chat if you have ever tried to go gluten-free or are willing to try. Okay. So the next one is dairy. So dairy products can be highly inflammatory for a significant portion of the world's population, primarily due to lactose intolerance and milk protein sensitivities. So lactose intolerance occurs when the body does not produce enough lactase. So this is an enzyme required to digest lactose, which is the sugar found in milk. Scientific studies estimate that approximately 65 to 70% of the world's population is lactose intolerant after infancy. So that's a lot of people, 65 to 70%. So what happens is the lactose, when it's not broken down enough, it then begins to ferment in the gut by the bacteria that's in the gut. This can produce gas. It attracts water into the colon. So this is why you would have symptoms like gas, bloating, a stuffy nose, overgrowths in the gut, especially with yeast or pathogenic bacteria. They love the sugar from this, which then it also can directly cause inflammation. So a lot of my clients, if they come to me and they have that nasal runny nose thing going on all the time, this is probably one of the first things that I recommend to try, and just see if this is helping you. The odds are, there's not very many of us as far as percentage wise that have an autoimmune disease, but my guess would be we're in that 65 to 70%. I know I am. I used to eat cheese all the time. I used to have about a gallon of milk a week. And every Sunday back in college, I used to have a fancy cheese party. I wasn't very fancy, but I would go to the store and I would buy a new cheese every Sunday and do, cheese and crackers and just try a new cheese. it's been a long time now, obviously, since I've done that, because I've also been dairy free since 2008 as well. But I know firsthand what it's like to not only remove these foods, but start, to see how bad my body was actually inflamed by the foods that I was eating. So type a yes in the chat if you've ever tried to go dairy free or you're willing to try. Okay, so then last but not least, sugar. So I know for me, this was the hardest one. It's, I would say of the three, dairy was probably the easiest. Gluten was a lot harder because there wasn't a lot of options back then, and I didn't know how to cook. So I really had to learn how to cook real quick. But sugar is literally everywhere. Like it is. Like you start looking at any type of, ingredient label. I mean, just even as, this obviously does not have sugar, but when we start looking at ingredient labels and looking at what is actually in stuff, this is just a coconut water. You'll start to see, even with coconut water, there are some coconut waters that'll have organic water, organic coconut water or whatever, and then have sugars added to them, which I don't think that's necessary. Coconut is a sweetener. But yeah, so they're literally everywhere. And so when I'm talking about sugar, I'm talking about, the refined sugars, the lab made sugars. I'm not talking about things like honey or maple syrup, things that are natural to our that are naturally made. So there's a big difference between things like honey and cane sugar when it comes to how the body processes these and how inflammation is formed in the body. So not only though is sugar highly inflammatory, it can feed pathogenic bacteria in our gut, which can lead directly to leaky gut, which we've talked about. And then this turning into systemic inflammation all over our body, directly causing an increased CRP, so C-reactive protein in our body. So I know for most of us here who have an autoimmune disease, we've had high C-reactive proteins, right? And this can directly start leading into autoimmune diseases. Sugar can also cause organ damage. It can cause hormonal imbalances, teeth damage, brain issues, brain fog, fatigue. I mean, there's so many things. Not only that, it's also even more addictive and rewarding than cocaine. So it is literally a drug. But it causes more damage than cocaine. So this is the epitome of talking about food as a poison. This is exactly how the body sees it and how the body responds. So every time that we have these kind of foods, it not only puts a physical stress and tears down our bodies on a cellular level and increases the inflammation, but it, spikes our cortisol, it spikes our blood sugar. It causes a host of problems that our body is just not well equipped to handle, especially at a weakened state. So this is one of those foods that also, I don't say to eliminate altogether, but at least to work to avoid as much as possible, get away from the processed foods, start adding in honey or maple syrup or things like that, instead of a bleached and processed, form. So type a yes in the chat if you have ever tried to go sugar-free or are willing to try. I know it's a hard one. It's a hard one. Yeah. Okay. So this is another amazing client of mine, Lisa. She came to me with a lot of gut issues, inflammation, a lot of weight gain, and she had been diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Once we pinpointed what was actually going on in her body and helped support her body, she was able to lose all the weight, eliminate her inflammation, and all of her autoantibodies for Hashimoto's were non-existent. So this is, again, just another great example that anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. So lastly, I want to talk about my 3-TAC model. And this is something that I apply to not only to my own health journey, but something that I apply to every single client of mine. Autoimmune diseases cause, as we all know, a lot of overwhelm due to how complex it is. I mean, I've had some doctors, I walk in with an autoimmune and they don't touch me with a 10-foot pole because of how complex I am. So we can feel like we're not being heard. We can feel like we're just a guinea pig with the treatment so far. And what's even scarier is autoimmune diseases love company. Once you're diagnosed with one, you are now 6 times more likely to develop others, which is why I ended up having 4 in the end before I got help. And so many people who are struggling with chronic autoimmune diseases can struggle to find relief, sometimes because they're bouncing from one quick fix to another. They're grasping at information from social media, or like I like to say, Dr. Google, to find the next quick fix without really understanding what's at the root. Or they're searching out for more labs or more practitioners for answers without really, again, grasping at that root and doing the work. So, this could be all without understanding, root cause resolution. And we've all been conditioned, honestly, all of us have been conditioned, especially with technology these days, that everything should be one and done. It should be fast. It should be, easy. And unfortunately for healing, that's not always the case. So to see any regression in autoimmune diseases, a lifestyle change is essential. And a multifaceted approach to altering your lifestyle is almost always necessary for genuine relief. So we have to move beyond the dabbling mindset, and it can be easy and fun. It doesn't have to be a chore or hard. So the key to lasting and sustainable relief is by utilizing the 3-tech model. The 3-tech model is an analogy for understanding autoimmune diseases. So let's say you're walking and you step on 3 tacks. So each tack in your foot represents a different contributing factor, such as environment, an infection going on, lifestyle, toxins, diet, gut health, whatever it is. These factors, like tacks, they collectively drive the disease progression. So removing just one tack only provides partial relief, as other factors continue to cause the discomfort. So we have to address all of them. We have to address all 3 in order to get relief. And so in this, your body, and most importantly, your immune system, must be reprogrammed long enough to feel safe and to actually be safe. So any type of like simmering infection, for instance, anytime that's still ongoing, your immune system will always be hypervigilant and always trying to protect you. So this is where I often hear people say, but Amber, I've tried everything. And I was there too. I dabbled for years, going from one thing to the next and never really getting the information I needed or anyone that could help me. And I feel you, it's so frustrating and makes you feel totally helpless. Type yes in the chat if you relate to that. But yeah, so it's all about finding all of the tacks and making sure that those changes are done at the same time and for long enough to where the body feels safe again. So I'm curious, you showed up today, even though you are incredibly busy. We all are, right? We all have life going on around us. But you showed up today. And for one, again, I honor you. But for 2, I want to know why you're here. So is it because you feel stuck, that no matter what you've tried to do, you feel, to feel better, nothing's worked? Is it because you're exhausted and you just want to have the answers to find more energy once and for all? Or is it because you want more? You want so much more out of life. You're struggling with your health and you're just done with it. And you're intrigued by the idea that you can actually reclaim your health and not have to be dependent on medications. So type in the chat why you're here. Why you're here. Because I'd love to know. But I also invite you to think about, what if today is the day where you can make the decision that can change your life? I've seen a lot of people in here saying, well, I'm dairy free, I'm gluten free, I'm all these things already. So, and that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you guys. So what would life look like though, if you could actually do all of the things that your unique body needs then and reclaim your health once and for all? So I know these are ones that I actually personally picked for myself. So would it be freedom in your body? Would it be better relationships, more time, more opportunities, growth opportunities, business opportunities, Would it be an overall better quality of life, more confidence in your body, more strength in that body, more joy, more money, to stop paying for all those medications and the biologics and the doctors and the surgeries and the having to be on the phone with insurance companies and worrying if they're going to even cover the next round of medications, Trust me, I've been there, done it all. And I know that it can be done. And this is another great example of this. This client of mine, Jillian, she had been to every doctor, nutritionist, dietitian, integrative doctor, you name it. And when we started working together, every doctor had told her she was too complex. And within a few months, she was already feeling remarkably better, losing toxic weight, able to run her business. She had her own business, and she was able to actually show up every day and run it like a boss. She started making a ton more money, and she gained the tools to keep going. So we worked together for about 5 months. And now she's thriving. It's amazing to see the power of getting to the root and setting foundational tools here. So let's talk about what you can do. So steps you can take today. I know I talked a lot about, what are the 4 foundations and gave some really good examples of where to start looking there. And then we also talked about food, and we talked about ways that you can start shifting over your diet and start maybe even rethinking how you're eating. But so we've got 3 options today as far as moving forward. Okay. So I have given so much information today that you can begin, puzzle piecing your journey and apply it to your own unique life step by step and progress through your health journey alone. Right. You're also welcome to work with me one-on-one. So in my virtual practice, we do one-on-one sessions and personalized protocols and care, as well as advanced testing to help discover kind of what are your root causes and help guide you literally step by step. But I also have where we can work together virtually. This is something that is more affordable for people who can't afford one-on-one time with me. And this will virtually guide you literally through the step-by-step process to help you discover your root causes, help you build sustainable habits, help you heal your body once and for all. You'll have me literally holding your hand every step of the way. So if this option seems like something that you would be interested in, then I would love to invite you to a course that I produced. We're opening this course back up, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys today because we have been seeing so many good things come from the transformations that are coming from this. And it's everything that I literally guide my clients through step by step as well. So it's my heart in a course. So wouldn't it be easier to have someone literally show you step by step how to reclaim your health, how to answer all of the questions that you have, how to give you guidance, how to literally walk you through step by step to where there is no more questioning and all you see is results. So let me know in the chat if that's you. So Autoimmune Warrior Academy, it is the only online training of its kind, I've checked, that is made for us autoimmune warriors. So it shows you exactly, again, how to step-by-step find your root causes, rebalance your body and find true lasting relief. If you go online and you search for autoimmune courses, a lot of them are for doctors or practitioners like myself that go into kind of the in-depth of how autoimmune diseases kind of sort of develop in the body as far as immunological and things like that. But they don't tell you what to do with that information. They don't tell you actually how to heal, right? And so, and that's, I don't shame doctors. I don't bash doctors, but they have so much knowledge behind them. But a lot of their training is in how do I use this knowledge for pharmaceutical use? Right. And so it's still not how to, help somebody actually heal. It's how to, let's mask these symptoms and move on. Right. So I've been exactly where you are or even worse. So I know how frustrating the life can be. And so I designed this not only from the step-by-step of what I went through, but what I see time and time again for years now of helping my clients achieve wellness as well. So I often get this, especially once we hit autoimmune disease status. I'm too sick. I've been sick for a really long time. I'm too complex. Is healing even possible for me? My body hates me. There's no way that this can even be done. And I know from, back when I was 27 and I was feeling that same exact way. And I want to reassure you that that answer is a resounding yes. Yes, 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 you can heal your body. Healing is available for everyone. It's all about finding out why the body is fighting so hard to keep you safe, eradicating that threat, and supporting the body to do its job to naturally come back to a state of healing. So you could be like me. Yes, you could be missing organs like I do. Or you could have scar damage. Jillian, the client that I just talked about, she had a lot of scar damage that was affecting her ascending colon, from previous surgeries, right? Or you could have illnesses, but it doesn't mean that you can't heal the parts of you that keep getting ravaged, right? And it doesn't mean that you can't prevent your body from furthering the damage. So not only can we stop the damage from furthering, we can heal the parts of you that can be healed, right? And so then your body will adapt to a healthy state again. So that's its body's natural state. So inside the course, it's 12 modules, so it's 12 weeks. We cover it all. So we cover mindset. I go deep into actually explaining step-by-step how autoimmune diseases actually develop in the body and the signs to start looking for. Because once you hit remission, right? Once you're done with the course and you've healed your body, there are times where life happens, stress happens. We start falling back into old patterns. I teach you exactly how to start noticing those signs before you ever get to a point of an autoimmune disease again. Because we can't change your genetics, right? We talk about nutrition and why it's so important and, dive into different types of healing diets. We talk about the AIP diet. I take you through exact protocols to help heal your gut. Toxins. We talk about toxins and how they impact the body, managing stress, the role of exercises, managing, symptoms as well, the chronic pain, the unintended weight changes. I see a lot of people, usually they have gained a lot of weight or lost a lot of weight. There's not very many, not in that, not in that center place if they're at their worst. We talk about maintaining progress and thriving once it's done. Again, making sure that we notice those signs and making sure that we're doing what we need to do to care for our body and to love our body. And, maybe, learn some things that you weren't really taught by maybe parents and friends and things like that, that now we know is, leads you to optimal health. So here's what you'll gain with the Autoimmune Warrior Academy. I virtually hold your hand, literally step by step, through a proven process to help you revitalize and reclaim your health once and for all. So no more trial and error or wasting time and money. You'll get a deep understanding of your body, and you'll actually learn to connect with your body. A lot of us with a chronic illness, we can become very disassociated because it is so much pain. And we're just tired of it. And so our brain, to keep us safe, disconnects. And so we learn to really tap back into that. And we get true healing and symptom relief with it. More energy and vitality, again, step-by-step guidance, and no more stressing about your health after that. So with the course, I do throw in a few bonuses that you get for free. So throughout the entire course, I do provide meal planning recipes to make this a no-brainer. This makes it super easy. You don't have to guess like, what the heck am I supposed to be eating? I give you 8 weeks of already done recipes with shopping lists and guidance, like step-by-step, exactly how to not only meal prep and how to make the time for it and how to prioritize that, but also how to shop for it and things to look for and pantry items. So, I give it all. But I'm not extra special. I do not have a medical degree. I'm just like you. And when I was diagnosed and went through my healing journey, I did not have an extra advantage. Okay. So I just had somebody literally pointing me through the process. But what I do have now is 25 years experience with chronic illnesses, success in healing my own body and helping others do the same, a rigorous education in functional medicine and integrative nutrition. And more importantly, I have a proven roadmap that me and my successful clients have followed to achieve wellness and symptom relief. So the next bonus here is you get access to an Autoimmune Warrior Academy community. So this is where you get to meet up with people who are like-minded. I know there's so many Facebook groups out there, but so many of them are negative, and they're filled with a lot of complainers, and it's just not indicative of a healing environment and a positive environment. And so what I like to, create is within my community that we all are so supportive of one another, and we can bounce ideas, and we can, help each other and help support each other. And so you'll have that support as well. And best of all, there is a risk-free 14-day guarantee. So if you show up, you do the work, you show me the results of your progress within 14 days of the program release, and you're not satisfied, or you're not learning what you thought you'd learn, or it's just not for you, we'll gladly give you a refund. No problem there. And so bonus number 3, you get access to clients. So my one-on-one clients, you get access to their specific discounts. So when it comes to labs, if you do want advanced labs, if you decide that you want to try some of the supplements, or if you need just some, one-on-one consultation guidance with me and my team, you get discounts for all of that stuff to help you progress through your journey here. So again, bonus number 1, meal planning made easy. So you get 8 weeks of already done for you recipes, shopping lists, and guidance to help you along the way. Bonus number 2, you get access to the Autoimmune Warrior Academy community. And bonus number 3, you get access to client-specific discounts on labs and supplements, as well as discounts on one-on-one consultations with me and my team. So if we were to value this up, this total bonus value is $2,744 just in the bonuses alone. So Autoimmune Warrior Academy, the total value of this course is $4,800. And with those bonuses, that comes out to $7,544. But that's not what you're going to have to pay today. That's not even close. I know that some of you are on a tight budget or a fixed income. So I want to make this as affordable as possible. I know on my health journey, I told you I paid $18,000 for my year of healing. And I was lucky and blessed that I could afford it because I had a great job in engineering. But I know not everyone is like that. And maybe you've been sick for a really long time and have been unable to work. So I want to make this as affordable as possible. So, however, I also understand that this can even be hard to manage for some. And so I wanted to break this down into payments. So again, trust me, I get it. So we've now dropped it down to where there's a 3-payment option. So all you have to do is pay $199 today. That's it. And then 2 more payments of $199, 30 days apart. So, this is a steal. This will take you through the program. And so if you want to learn more, go to feelgoodnourishment.com/AWA. And as an extra bonus, so if you do sign up within this opening, so the doors close tomorrow at 5 p.m. Right. So as an extra bonus, I am throwing in my Amazon bestselling book that I wrote last year, Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. This shows you my story. I talk a lot more in depth, and I'm a lot more vulnerable about my story in this book. So you get that as a bonus as well. But you may be thinking, I want to reclaim my health, but right? I don't know if I can afford this. And I know exactly how you feel. I still remember the pain in my gut when I realized I spent $18,000 in a year on my healing journey on credit cards. It was gut wrenching, kind of the opposite of healing, right? I understand that this can be a big financial decision and can feel overwhelming. Many of my clients have felt this way. And when they, decide to either join the course or work with me one-on-one, and I felt the same when I invested in my health. But I've seen that people who made the commitment to say yes to their health actually made their investment back tenfold from what they learned by no longer needing to go to doctor's visits, have surgeries, take medications, time wasted on the phone with insurance companies, and they were able to just get their life back. At this point, I don't know the last time I went to a doctor. Honestly, a doctor, I went to see a podiatrist when I broke my foot in 2019. As far as like doctor, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've seen a doctor. Wow. I haven't even thought about that. But yeah, So we are so quick to invest in others as well, right? Like it's so easy for us to invest in others or to, have the Christmas presents or the Valentine's stuff or the, all these things, these birthday presents for other people. But when was the last time you actually invested in your own self and your own health, especially for us women? Like it's so hard for us to put ourselves first. And again, there's a risk-free guarantee. So you can't afford not to. I mean, you can sign up, you can pay the $199 today. If in 2 weeks you've done the work and this just is not for you, we can, we'll give you a refund. But I ask though, what will it cost you if you don't make changes to your health right now? I ask that with love because I know what it was like for me as I continued to progress and get worse and worse and worse. I wasn't taking it serious until I had to. And so I ask you, what will it cost if you don't make changes to your health right now? I often hear I don't have time to put into this program. And I ask you to put the oxygen mask again on yourself. This course will only require 0 to 3 hours per week. So that's it. So we all can get very busy and overwhelmed in life, but what is life when we aren't healthy enough to enjoy it? Right? So I invite you to put the oxygen mask on yourself right now and prioritize your one and only body here. So another one is I'm feeling overwhelmed already. I know we talked a lot of stuff, and I'm not sure if I can keep up. So that's not a problem. This course is self-paced. Each of the modules are available every week, and that actually I should say Saturday, but this doesn't mean you have to hurry through. You get also lifetime access to this course. So any updates that we make in the future, you'll also get access to those as well. And I don't think my partner will be okay with me purchasing this. I get this one a lot, whether it's one-on-one or this course. And I think it's important to consider our loved ones in our decisions. However, investing in your health is not just for you. It's an investment in the quality of life for both you and your partner. So when you are healthier, more energized, and happier, it positively impacts your relationships too. So again, go to feelgoodnourishment.com/AWA. The doors close tomorrow at 5 p.m. for this round. So if you are ready to make the decision to finally take charge of your health and heal your body, I'd love to have you join us in this journey. And we'll be in the Facebook group as well and the community to help support you with any questions. So you're definitely going to get that step-by-step support there. So if you do sign up today, it'll take you, if you click that link and go to feelgoodnourishment.com/AWA, it'll take you to the enrollment page here. You'll choose what payment option is best for you. Down at the bottom of the page, you'll fill in your details, and congratulations, you are in. So once you're in, you'll check your email shortly to receive your login information and your details to Autoimmune Warrior Academy. And you'll be able to log into your account. So this is what the main page looks like. And there is a welcome video ready for you when you join. So again, it's $497, one payment, or 3 payments of $199. So I know what you're worried about. I know exactly how you feel in your body every day. I know the fears, anxiety, depression, and the isolation that having an autoimmune disease causes. I was in your shoes for almost 15 years before I began my healing journey. But I also know how strong and resilient you are. You need to be the fiercest of warriors to deal with an autoimmune disease. You just need to also believe in yourself as much as I do, right? So now we're going to get into the Q&As. That is all I've got today. So today I shared with you my story of overcoming 4 autoimmune diseases, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. We talked a lot about the 4 pillars of autoimmune diseases and how they develop when you experience the perfect storm. We covered a lot about food sensitivities, and steps you can take immediately to help support your body. We talked about how important it is to ditch the dabbling mindset and tackle all of your attacks at once for true relief. Lastly, we talked about ways that you can take this information and move forward on your own health journey, whether it is alone or having me as your partner here. So again, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. So now I want to answer some questions. So if you have any questions, type them in the chat right now. And whether it's about content, whether it's about working with my telehealth clinic, or about Autoimmune Warrior Academy, if you're on the fence about enrolling in Autoimmune Warrior Academy, let us know in the chat as well. So type in the chat, I'm on the fence because, and ask any questions that you may have here. Okay, so I'm looking through some of the Leah, so you will have lifetime access. So once you enroll, it opens up and you will have, lifetime access. So you can go through it. Every module will open up once a week from the time that you enroll. But you have, you have forever to get through it or to keep coming back. And anytime that we make any adjustments or update the program at all, you also will get access to all of that as well. So I'm also looking through some of the questions that have come through during me talking. So Vicky had asked, can you give examples of what you've done? I assume done to heal, maybe. So that was at 11:13. Yeah, so maybe what I've done to heal. So that is a long story. It is. I wrote a whole book about it, actually, almost 300 pages. So so for one, everybody goes through a healing journey that is bio-individual, and it's all about finding what's going on with you, what's at the root, what are your unique, dietary and lifestyle factors. There's so many things because we're all so unique. I mean, just because I had Crohn's disease doesn't mean that, Joe next to me is going to have the same root causes if he's got Crohn's disease. And by the time I had 4 autoimmune diseases, my root causes aren't always going to match someone else's, which is something that I talk about a lot in the course. And that course actually guides you to make it personal for you. And so some examples of what I've done, there was so many factors, when it came to, I like to call it peeling back the layers, kind of like an onion, a very Shrek analogy there. But it's really about pulling back the layers and finding what's at the root cause. So I had a lot of gut issues. I had a lot of infections. I had to, first and foremost, I had to heal my gut. So, I went through a process of that. I changed my diet completely. I don't eat anything like I used to. I learned to cook. I got obsessed with the Food Network and started learning how to cook for myself and learning how to nourish my body. Managing stress was a big one. I had a lot of trauma growing up, which I talk about in my book as well. And I had to work through and manage a lot of that. So it's very multifaceted. So I hope, Vicky, if you're still on, I hope that answered some of your questions. Let's see. Okay. So I had another question come in. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. How can I use this information to heal? So just like with any autoimmune disease, IBD, like Crohn's and colitis, specific, there's obviously that misdirection of the immune system that is affecting the intestinal tract, making the odds of leaky gut even more prevalent, right? With the attacks. Many roots can be at play here. Autoimmune Warrior Academy can take you through step by step how to regulate the immune system to stop the attacks, how to heal leaky gut, how for you to figure out what unique triggers are going on for you, and how to support your body to heal and come back to that optimal state. So another question, I have only been told that the only way to manage is to be on medications forever. How did you get off them? So I was also told that too. And I was on medications for over a decade. That route led me to more surgeries, ER visits, flares, money out of pocket, and eventually developing more autoimmune diseases. So medication is sometimes vital and necessary when it comes to saving your life or saving an organ. And that is something to always consult with your doctor on. From my own experience and from what I see with every single client of mine is as we tackle the root causes and start healing the body no longer needs those medications because we're solving the problem. So so a lot of them, I know for me, I went cold turkey. I've had a few other clients go cold turkey. I do not advise that at all. But to work with your doctor, with how you're feeling. Most people, all people that I've worked with work with their doctors to wean off and to stop their medications completely. Again, I do not prescribe medications, nor do I work with people to do that. So always consult with your doctor first. All right. Any other questions before we end today? Right. Well, thank you so much for joining today, guys. It was such a pleasure and an honor of mine to help maybe share, give you some insight. And I hope you were able to take a lot of information from this. I know it was only an hour. There's only so much we can cover in an hour, but I hope this was helpful. So thank you so much for joining. And I hope to see you guys on another one that we host. So have a wonderful rest of your day.